One line, 7 seconds, and a villain became an unstoppable legend. But what made this brief moment so powerful that it turned a killing machine into an absolute icon? The Terminator, the time-traveling assassin. A character so devoid of emotion that audiences felt nothing for him because he himself was nothing more than a walking, talking combat unit. However, then he uttered the 4 words, "I'll be back."
I'll be back.
Followed by one of his most lethal encounters. From that point onwards, everything changed. He was no longer the lifeless Terminator. In fact, he became the life of the entire movie. But how did 7 seconds completely change a character? Let's find out. Before we begin, let's do a quick rundown of The Terminator. Not the character, but the movie. In 1984, The Terminator came out, and it revitalized the science fiction genre. It was directed by James Cameron, and the movie follows the themes of time travel to AI apocalypse. In the year 2029, humans are in a war against an artificial intelligence unit called Skynet. It has taken over the world and wants to get rid of humans. Obviously, humans won't let go of their world to mere computers, so they resist, and the leader of the resistance is John Connor. However, instead of fighting John Connor in real time, Skynet sends a cybernetic assassin, T-800, to the year 1984 to kill his mother, Sarah Connor, before he's born. Talk about getting rid of problems at the root. Anyway, T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, makes it to 1984. So the humans also send a soldier, Kyle Reese, to 1984 to protect Sarah. As Sarah and Kyle fight for their life, they develop a bond, and Kyle realizes the resistance leader, John, is actually his son, conceived during their brief time together. The Skynet has programmed the T-800 to kill, and that is exactly what he does. He bulldozes over every person who tries to come in the way of his mission. But then, in the final showdown, the hunter becomes the hunted. Sarah manages to destroy the Terminator by crushing it under a hydraulic press in a factory. Afterward, she drives into a desert while a storm looms in the distance. The movie ends on a strong note, as the storm subtly hints at the challenges ahead, indicating that the battle is far from over. All in all, the story may be high concept, but the execution is flawless. The Terminator is a perfect fusion of science fiction, action, and horror, keeping you at the edge of your seat with the high stakes in each scene. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the bodybuilding champion turned Hollywood superstar, played T-800 with such finesse that it was hard to tell whether an actual human was playing the role or a machine. His massive physique, paired with his amazing craft, made T-800 unforgettable. But here's something surprising. Arnold was not the first choice for the role. Producers initially considered Sylvester Stallone and Mel Gibson, but both turned it down. In another twist, O.J. Simpson was also considered for the role of T-800. The producers thought that he had the right build for the role, but James Cameron rejected the idea because he didn't believe audiences would find him convincing as a cold-blooded killer. Ironically, the decision aged in a very strange way. Anyway, back to Arnold. James Cameron originally wanted Arnold to play Kyle Reese, the human soldier. But when Arnold met with James Cameron, he impressed him with his thorough understanding of the character, T-800. More importantly, it was Arnold himself who suggested that he should play the Terminator instead, and that decision changed everything. When the Terminator finally hit theaters, it completely smashed the box office. It was proof that no one could have done the Terminator better than Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the fact that he had the foresight and confidence to push for the role makes his success even more legendary. Now that we have dissected the movie, the casting drama, and the man who played it, let's talk about the iconic scene. The scene takes place at a police station where Sarah Connor is being held. The T-800 arrives and asks to see her.
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please? No.
However, the desk officer seems unimpressed by his brooding demeanor and tells him to wait.
Look, it may take a while. You want to wait? There's a bench over there.
The Terminator scans the room, assesses his surroundings, and then coolly says, "I'll be back."
I'll be back.
A few moments later, he quite literally returns, this time by crashing a car into the front of the building. Remember the part about him bulldozing his way in? That was a reference to this. Anyway, then he steps out of the car and begins his ruthless massacre. This scene was a total of 7 seconds, but it was enough to redefine T-800's image. This is how. Before this scene, the T-800 is depicted as a terrifying but pretty straightforward antagonist. He is a programmed assassin with no emotions. Hence, the audience doesn't know how to feel about him. They can't blame him for his actions because he is programmed to do so. Therefore, up until this point, they are unbiased about him. But the casual way he delivers, "I'll be back," adds a layer of an uncanny charisma. It does not sound like an outright threat, but it carries an unsettling certainty. If someone is watching the movie for the first time, they would believe that the phrase is just a throwaway line. Instead, when the Terminator returns with great force, he proves that even his words are inevitable, and once he says something, it will be set in stone. The power of delivery is evident in this scene. It shows how the simplest dialogues, if delivered properly, can add so much weight to a scene. Arnold's Australian accent and mechanical tone make the line distinct. Had it been delivered differently, perhaps with more aggression, it might have sounded like a generic villain threat. So, the cold, almost indifferent tone makes it even more chilling. In an interview with an American news program, Arnold revealed that he had difficulty pronouncing the word "I'll."
The "I'll" sounded weird to me.
He had even considered getting it changed to "I will be back," but the director refused. And this time, the director was right. The slight change made the line smoother, more natural, and ultimately more memorable. Before this, the Terminator was a monstrous force, killing without purpose, a character who was scary for sure, but relatively faceless in his wickedness. The line gives him an identity beyond just being a machine. The director, James Cameron, thought that the audience would find the line humorous only when they knew what was coming ahead, but he was surprised to see it get a big reaction, even from the first-time audience. It meant that the audience understood the character and was prepared for the outrageous violence that followed the nonchalant line. And because "I'll be back" was an immediate hit with the audience, over time, it became a signature Schwarzenegger line. It became synonymous with his name and appeared in almost every major film he starred in after The Terminator. The phrase became a staple in all sequels of The Terminator, and sometimes it was even altered for a slight comedic effect, which was a very clever way to keep the line fresh while maintaining its legacy. Even beyond the Terminator franchise, the phrase followed Arnold into his entire Hollywood career. It was referenced in films like Commando, The Running Man, and Last Action Hero. This thoroughly helped reinforce his on-screen persona as the ultimate action hero. The most amazing part is that this simple line has been parodied, referenced, and quoted in countless movies, TV shows, and even political speeches. And there's nothing better than a politician throwing in a Terminator reference in speeches, only to turn into a hollow man when it comes to actions. After that moment, the Terminator was no longer just a science fiction horror villain, it was a cinematic force. The T-800 was not just feared, it was respected. This shift was necessary because it helped set the stage for its evolution in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, where he would return as a protector rather than a villain. So, to round it all up, it wouldn't be wrong to say that in just 7 seconds, "I'll be back" turned the Terminator into an immortal character. It was not just what was said, but how it was said and what followed. The line elevated the T-800 from a simple time-traveling cybernetic assassin to one of the most recognized and enduring characters in film history. That was it for today's video. Was "I'll be back" an accidental hit or a well-thought-out scheme? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Though for us, whether it was planned or not, it was still iconic. Hope you liked the video. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like and share, and we will catch you in the next one, because we'll be back.